Hello, my name is Carl Surrey and this is a video tutorial for the Facebook group called Fans of Serif Software. Now this is going to be part 3 of a beginner's look at the PC version of Affinity Designer. And beginner because I am a beginner myself. I've only had this product for however long it's been released for now, a month and a bit. So I am learning it as I'm going along, and hopefully I can pass on a few things I've learnt as I learn them myself to other beginners. Now, the Affinity Designer has been out on the Mac for quite a long time, so there are probably many Mac users that are more adept than I am, as well as probably users of Draw Plus, which a lot of this program is based on, I believe. So let's get started. I just want to clear up a couple of things which I forgot to mention in the previous video. In the previous video I mentioned that you could undock these studio segments here. What I forgot to mention is you can also undock the tools bar going down here, and you can do that by going to View, and where it's got a tick next to Dock Tools, if you just click on that, the tools are now removed from the left hand side and you can move them wherever you want on the screen. And it also does add the color selector section that's up there on the right in the color studio panel, but I can't really see myself the need for that, so I will just put it back. Just put a tick next to Dock Tools and it will put it back onto the left. Now, another thing I mentioned in the previous video was my problems with the grid, isometric grid, and on 3 different planes, which can, if I come to the Grid and Access Manager and do Show Grid, take the tick out of Automatic Grid and go to the Advanced setting, select Isometric, just move this up here, and put Create Plane Set, and then close. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, you're supposed to be able to just press the apostrophe key, which is the one that also has the @ symbol for, like when you do email addresses like something at yahoo.com. It's that @ symbol key that has the apostrophe on it as well. Now, when I pressed it, nothing happened. Now, what is supposed to have happened is if I press it now, as you should see the grid change direction. So there's 3 different ways that can change. Now, this would be helpful. So, if you're, let me just quickly get the pen tool, and if I just draw a simple square here. Now, if I wanted to add to this on the upward line, you're sort of having to guess, but by pressing the apostrophe, I can select an upward line that matches the box that I drew down there. So again, pressing the apostrophe a couple of times, I can put a lid to that small box and press the apostrophe again, and then finish off that box like that, and then I could just colour the individual segments that I've drawn, and then I'll just get the move tool. And what I need to do is group them all, so let me just press Control and then come down to group, and now with the move tool I can just move that out of the way so I can carry on with what the main point I want to look at on here, which is the corner tool. But that just demonstrates you that how the grid should have worked by pressing the apostrophe. Now I did put, let me just press Control and apostrophe to get rid of the grid. I did put a question on the Affinity Designer forum asking about this, because what I found was when I came up to where is it? Preferences here, preferences, and selected keyboard shortcuts, miscellaneous, and cycling the snapping planes. It had an apostrophe in here as the keyboard shortcut, but it wasn't working. And what I had to do to get it working was to press the X to get rid of it, and then come back into the box and click on apostrophe to put it back in, to close it, and then it started working. So it's almost like, although there is an apostrophe in that box, it isn't actually, on my version when I installed it, it wasn't working, so I had to sort of take it out and put it back in again, and now it works. So that's something they may need to look at in a future update. Another thing which I found that wasn't working on mine was what is called the status bar, which is this bar just underneath here, which tells you some of the keyboard shortcuts that you can use with various tools, be it whether you need to press Control to get certain options or Shift to get certain options. I mean, you can't remember them all, so having these reminders along the bottom was very helpful. And it didn't seem to be activated in my version, so again I put a question on the forum, and the answer to get this back was to close down Designer, hold down the Control button, and then restart Designer. And then that brings up a box which you can tick various options, and it will restart Designer in like the default mode. So you can lose a lot of your settings and what have you. But as I didn't have that many, it wasn't a major problem for me, so I reset it back to defaults, and now this status bar is working. So moving on to a very quick and basic look at the move corner tool, which is the fourth one down up here. You can either click on the tool, or you can press C on your keyboard, and that will start the tool up for you. So let me come to this tier shape that I've made here. I've used the quick selection tool and used the tier shape to make this, and I'm using this because it is very similar to a Serif's own tutorial on the corner tool, which I would recommend you looking at. This is much better than what I'm going to be able to do, but this was made for the Mac version, and it was made 2 years ago, so the Mac version may have changed since they've made this. But I want to show you that if you look at this screen image here from the video, the person that's doing this video, they're moving this point, it was a point, and they're moving it into a rounded corner. But while they're doing it, you have this blue line up here and this blue line down here, which are like the handles to move these areas. If I come back to Designer, and we are on this layer, and we are on the corner tool, but there is no handles there or there on the PC version. We can get them a bit later, because if I just press the control key, I mean, as you can see on the status bar, there's various options you can do, but if I hold down the control key at this present moment in time, it removes the nodes, that big square node there, and the round node there, and the round node there, just by pressing the control key. So what I need to do first is to click and select this node, which is the square one. As you can see, the icon for the around the arrow, when it gets close to it, has a little curved line underneath it. So if I click and hold and move this inwards, as you can see, there's now a circle, a red circle, that is getting bigger and bigger as I draw it inwards, and it curves the back edge of that teardrop. So I'll bring it to there, and hopefully you can see that you got the faint outline of where that pointed end was and where it is now. Now if I press the control key now, those handles are now visible and they're connected to these nodes here. So if I keep the control key held down, I can click on and move these handles into whatever shape I wish. And once I've let go of the control key, those handles have disappeared. Just pressing the control key brings it back. And as you can also see, by when I can let go of the control key, I can't really do much, if anything at all, with these small round nodes. You can only really affect the big square node. But once you press the control key, those round nodes become bigger. So, and the handles have disappeared because they only appear if that one is highlighted. But if I come off of that, and then we'll just come back to that layer so that that's no longer highlighted, and I press the control key, these nodes are round nodes are bigger, and they can be moved because it's now working much like the node tool, and I can drag these inwards if I want to. And as you can see, once I've moved that, these handles have now been added. Hang on. And I can bend it into whichever shape I want. So that is a very quick look at using the corner tool, and then once you've made some alterations, you can get it to work a bit like the node tool. So let me just come down to this other thing that I've drawn using the pen tool down here, which is just a letter E. So let me just highlight that layer, and as we're still on the corner tool, as you can see, we've got square nodes. So any of these can be altered using the corner tool. So what I want to do is I want to alter the 4 corner nodes that are on the end of this letter E. So if I just click somewhere outside and drag down, all 4 of these are now highlighted, and it should mean that if I alter one, all 4 of these will be altered. So I'll just click and drag this top one, and as you can see, there is now a red circle appearing in all 4 of them, and I'll just do it so they join. So that end there and that end there has now become rounded. Now I'm going to do a similar thing to these 2 nodes. And just drag them inwards. So as you can see, they're now looking all the same at the end. I could carry on and round off these edges here, or all of these 4 together. Now you can, if you hold down the control key and hover on the line, so of any of these lines here, as you can see, the icon changes for that little line that's underneath. Now, although there is no node here for you to do anything with, let me put one here, for example. If I click, it will put in another node for you to use. So it's not going to let me work when it, come on. Oh no, hang on. Let me go to the, change that to the node tool. So I've added an extra node via the corner tool, and then I've moved it using the node tool. Now the other thing that I want to do is to alter the way that some of these corners will react. If I just highlight these N2 nodes here, and I then drag in and round both of those, along the top here you've got the different types of corners that you can have. I believe currently it's set on rounded, but if I click on this one next to it, you can see that they have now become concaved. You can go to a square, and then that's sort of a cut-off corner. That goes back to where it was. That's how I moved it there. So what I'll do is I'll just leave it on the concaved one. And so that is a very basic look at looking at the corner tool. And I would invite you to experiment using that tool and the various options, and don't forget to check out the status bar along the bottom that gives you all the various options that you can use with the various tools. Hopefully this has been of some help, and like I said, I would advise you to go back and check out this Affinity Mac video, which is on the Vimeo, Vimeo.com channels, and then just look for Affinity Designer, or if you can see that address up there, type in that address and then check out this particular video if you want to know more about the corner tool And just bear in mind that there are some slight variations from this video to the PC version, but I think by and large you should be able to work out what those variations are. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.